Welcome, and my name is Debbie, and I work here at the SWnurseries in San Jose, and I'm basically in charge of the gift buying and merchandising, and I do specialty containers. Today we are going to show you how I make a living wreath, and this is a sample of one of the wreaths that we will be working on. Some of the materials and supplies that you will need to make this wreath would be a wire form, and they come in different sizes. This is a 12-inch form, but they do come larger. You will need a pair of clippers that will cut some wire. You will need the wire that is this is a 24 gauge wire that I like to use. Some U-pins that I'll explain what to use those for. Some green moss, a bucket that'll hold some water, and a little bit of potting soil. Now, some of the plants that you can use will be things like ivies. Ferns are really nice to use. Got some different types here. Some little Gerber daisies are fun. You can either use them as cut or use the whole plant. There's some little kalanchoe, or we can use some African violets, some cyclamen, or even miniature roses are good to use. Or it's another fun wreath to make is one out of herbs. Now let's get started. So we'll start with our moss, and we will wet it down in the water. We'll do sections at a time. So I just get it moist, pull out a section, squeeze it out, most of the water out. It doesn't have to be totally dry. And you want to place it down where you have the greenest side against the wire. The frame will be the U-shaped, standing upward. And you want to overlap the frame a couple inches on each side, inside and out. We continue around the wreath where it's a nice layer, not too thick, but thick enough to hold some soil. And you squeeze it into the groove, like that. Now I will take some plants, and I'll start out, this is the fun part, we get to place where you want to put the plants. I'm going to show you we'll do half at a time. So we're going to do some little roses and some little ivies. So that I'm going to like this look, so I think what I'll do now is we take them out of their pots and you place them in the groove, just standing up. You can make them as close as you want together. I think I'll do it about like that. Now we'll get some of the soil that we have. You want to fill in the gaps between the plants. So I will fill in a little bit of potting soil in between to help add. Okay. Now we're going to take our U-pins that we had earlier. We'll wire this up, we'll pin this, it'll hold it in place so we can wire this wreath together. Do it inside too, like this. And don't be afraid that it looks like a mess, because the end result will be fine. Okay, now that I've got it pinned, and we can also fill in anything with any soil that is showing, you can fill it in with more moss. So don't worry about that. Okay, now that it's pinned, you can take your wire and start at any side you want. I'll start right here. And just go underneath the whole frame and everything, and just kind of tack it, just wrap it around the whole thing. Between the plants, you don't want to crush the plants. once I get it partly secure, I will check to see how, if I need any more moss. Okay, so here I can see where there's an empty spot, so we will just fill that up. And we'll take our wire, and usually I go around twice with the wire. So we'll just go around that part again. That will hold and secure all the plants and all the moss. This is where I want to try to make sure I grab that again. The wire will hold it in place. Now that I got part of it done here, you just continue the same process for the rest of the wreath. So when you're done with that process, this is again what it will look like. And there's several types of plants. Don't be afraid of using any kind of plants. The best ones again are little plants. And then you can keep them either trimmed, or in this case the ivy, if you don't like it flopping out, you just can take your U-pins and pin it down and watch it fill in. The way to water it would be to, you can either take your hose to it, lay it on the ground and just gently water it. If you're using things like your African violets, you're going to want to hand water this from the underside, because African violets don't like to be wet. So that would be just get a bowl and kind of just dip it in the water and let it soak up from underneath. You can decorate these by using different ribbons and bows, or different color flowers that you can stick in. I like, one of my favorite wreaths to make is one that's all just greens of ivies and ferns. Fertilizing your plants is an option too that you may want to do. The best way to do it would be to add the fertilizer to your water when you go to water your plant. Also want to be careful on where you hang it. These are living wreaths. They are quite heavy, so you want something that'll support it. But also, since it is wet, you want to also maybe think about how you're going to protect your door, or your fence would probably be fine, but or your table. So maybe a plate or a bowl for your table. And now you have everything you need to know to build your own living wreath. Thank you. My name is Debbie, and see you at the nursery.